Hey guys, this is James from TeaDB, bringing you InBetweenIsode number 34. It is hot and sunny at 7:45 a.m. here in Seattle. So today I am drinking a couple teas from Bana tea. So the first tea is the 2014 Red Yiwu that was kindly sent to me by a follower of TeaDB and a frequent customer of Bana tea. Who is Carolyn, so big thanks to Carolyn. And the second tea was provided actually directly from Louie, who saw an episode a while back and decided to send me a couple teas. The tea is really interesting because it is the 2009 Sanhe Hao, I believe that's right, and it's from actually the exact same farm, and I don't know if it's the exact same farm at the very least of the Red Yiwu, and it's from 2009, so we actually have a chance to directly compare teas from the same farm, just from different years. And you know, there's endless variables that could still come into place, the processing of the tea, how the actual harvest was, etc., etc., but this is a pretty good comparison that we can make. So neither tea is cheap. I believe they sell for something like $320 for the Red Yiwu and $400 for the Sanhe Hao. But it's a really, really fascinating comparison. So it's something I would definitely recommend if your funds allow. Alright, so I have the Red Yiwu right here on my right. I've been brewing it a little bit. And we will go here. Alright, so have a smell. So it's got a very bright flavored, bright aroma to it. There's some nuttiness, sweet floral characteristics in it as well. And let's have do the same thing with the 2009 version. And you know, I've actually already published my Yiwu report, something that I'd recommend anyone really interested in Pu'erh check out. And interestingly, I tend to prefer more aged teas, but when I did this comparison first, I actually preferred the 2014 version. And Shah, who is a longtime Pu'erh drinker and follower sometimes of TeaDB, so a lot more sweetness from this aroma, more honeyed, and yeah, we'll see how that translates into taste. So I'm going to drink the Red Yiwu first. And so he had commented that a lot of like the complexity of younger teas can sometimes age out, and that's just a fairly normal part of the process. So it's about sort of, I'm butchering his words, but it's about sort of appreciating sort of the storage and stuff like that happens later on. So it's not really like older is better so much as like older is different. Alright, so here's the Red Yiwu. Cheers, guys. Just got a really nice smooth form to it. It still has some bitterness and astringency to it. Yeah, and so it has sort of this, like, in the middle it has sort of this slightly sharper bitter / astringent note. Goes down the throat really smoothly. Nice depth of flavor. It's a nice deep taste. Definitely a really good young raw pu'erh if your budget allows. I would say this tea is really, really well balanced in the sense that it balances all these like bitter, sweet, astringent, good huigan, deepness of taste and stuff like that all together really well. I wouldn't say it has one overwhelming, powerful trait like some teas do, but it is a very, very solid tea, and you start to think about these different characteristics. You know, yeah, it's got that, but yeah. Alright, So we will move over to the Sanhe Hao. So it's very obviously sweeter, and I think it's a little bit softer in body. I don't think it's quite as big in the mouth as red Yiwu. And, you know, that's an interesting question because I had initially pegged this sort of as being like the 2009 harvest. Who knows if it's as good as 2014, which was allegedly quite good. But it turns out the 2009 harvest was very good as well. So who knows? That could definitely be a natural part of the aging process. I would say in depth of flavor and like deepness in sort of like that throat feel or the hui gan or the tea coming down the throat, both are very, very similar. Both are very good. This has smoothed out a lot of those bitter and astringent edges to the tea. I think I described this tea as thick honey in the Yiwu report, and I would say that's pretty accurate. Really delicious aroma. There's definitely a little bit more sort of like complexity going on in the red Yiwu. I would say there's a little bit more flavors and stuff, but it's not really necessarily about that necessarily. Yeah. And I will do one last brew of both of these guys just to see how they are evolving. So you can kind of see in the core with the left being the 2009 version and the right being the 2014 that the color of the 2009 is just a little bit deeper and darker, and you can see just kind of how the liqueur is moving around, that they're both pretty thick. I don't know if you can capture that all the way from the camera, but they both have nice, decent, thick taste to them. Alright, cheers guys. So the body is still really, really nice and dense, and I think that's something that I really appreciate about the red Yiwu is that it has really, really good staying power. It doesn't really lose steam super quick. Some teas will start out with a nice, super strong body, and then by even the second or third steep, sometimes it can just drop off, and then by the fourth or fifth steep, you have to really push that steep time to get something out of it. Not at all the case with this tea. This is the third infusion, and I would say it is just as strong, if not stronger, than the first infusion. So that's something I definitely appreciate about this tea. It has a good, strong staying power, and it has solid longevity as well. So this is still representing a very similar profile of like a lot of sweetness, a lot of thick honey. There's a very specific smell and flavor to some of these raw pu'ers once they get some of that age, and I don't want to call it like herbal because I don't think it's quite that, but it's somewhat similar. I think some people call it camphor, and the description on this site talked a little bit about mouth cooling. I get a little bit of that. That's not like a characteristic that I'm super great at picking out. So, just honestly speaking, I don't notice that a whole ton with this tea, but I do believe I can pick out some of that. And interestingly enough, in this session, I think so far it's about even for me. They're more or less different sides of the same, different, and with not one necessarily being better than the other in this case, at least for this particular session. And yeah, I think that just about wraps up this episode. Big thanks to Linda and Louie over there at Bana Tea, and Carolyn for shooting me these teas over the mail. And thank you guys for watching, and cheers.